So my current role at Fountain Studios is studio manager, and I've worked here for 23 years, and I've been studio manager for at least 16 of those years. Well, my job is to look after this very large box, keep the maintenance up, and make sure it's ready for the productions that walk into the studio. Okay, well, let's go back to the summer of '93. One of the first electricians here, I lived opposite, and he got a job here. And he said to me, look, I'm working at a studio in Wembley. They're looking for casual staff to get the place together. Do I mind jumping in and helping out? Well, at the time, I wasn't doing much. I just finished doing a security job. I said, yeah, why not? It'll be fun. Let's see what it entails. I've never worked in TV, let alone a studio before. So I turned up. I was only here for 2 weeks originally, and the place looked like a small bomb had dropped into it. There was cable everywhere. So basically all I did was, for those first 2 weeks, was get the place to start tidying up, at least ready for the first production, which I'm not sure which was about 6 months or a year down the line. I can't remember too well. So basically, yeah, that was what I was doing for 2 weeks, was tidying up and giving everyone a hand. I think it was the first week I was here doing the job. I thought, this is good. Not done this before. This is different from anything else I'd done. I thought, here's an opportunity here. Let's see what happens. So that's how I started. Yes, I was here for 2 weeks, and 2 weeks went over. I was still here. I was here for another month. I was here for 6 months. And I think it was after the 6 months, the then studio manager said to me, well, you've been here that long. You might as well stay. I must have been doing something right to have done 6 months' work. So that was it. I was here. And yeah, the rest is history. Let me describe the dividing wall in the simplest terms I can possibly for everyone to understand. Well, I'm sure everyone would understand anyway. So the dividing wall, it's two walls in essence, both 25 tons each. Each door is raised by 2 separate motors, which I believe from history comes from a battleship that turned the turrets on the battleship. That's what I've been told. The doors themselves are 23 meters long by 8 meters high. So they're pretty hefty bits of kit to put in. So that's the overview of what the wall is. It's 2 separate walls, both go up and down. They can go up and down independently of each other. So you can just drop one wall and leave the other one up, or drop both doors to the floor, and you've got that soundproofing to have 2 shows in each stage going on at the same time. In essence, the building, it's 2 separate buildings with a small divide running down the middle of it to create that soundproofing, so when the wall is dropped, there's no vibration and sound going from one studio to the other. So in essence, it's 2 separate buildings stuck together, but not joining. An example of one particular time we had 2 studios running, just to give an idea of sound with the dividing wall down, was in Studio B, where we are at the moment. We had the Richard Blackwood show, which was a very loud show with an audience. And next door, I believe we had the Royal Philharmonic. I'm sure it was the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra on one side. So obviously noise would have been a major issue with Royal Philharmonic going on, because they would have definitely heard what was going on in here. But with that wall down, you couldn't hear a thing, nothing at all. So to have such a loud show in here and an orchestra, which was going to be loud, but it's obviously quiet enough to, that's one instance of you want one side quiet and one side wants to be loud, to have that separation, not to hear. And it proved it worked. One summer, mid-2000-ish, I had a call from reception. Now, I believe it was from a supplier that doesn't exist anymore. that I used to deal with, which I used to hire equipment from. And I knew my contact, obviously knew her very well. So I got the call from reception saying that she was here, which was unexpected because I wasn't expecting her, and that she had a special guest with her. And this guest would like to look around. And I said, well, of course, not a problem at all. If it's someone who used to work here, I'm more than happy to meet them and show them around the building. So I went down to reception, and to my surprise, I was introduced to John Lee, who owned this facility when it was Lee Lighting. He must have been in his late 70s at this time. And he was still working because he was introducing a new product at Wembley Stadium at an event going on up there. So he was still making lights or involved in lighting in some way. So I brought the gentleman down to the restaurant, had a cup of tea, and he told me how much or what had changed in the building or where we were in the restaurant. There used to be a bar at one end, and outside in the dock there was other bits and pieces, but it was a while ago and I don't remember too much what he said, but it was just great to meet someone like him who used to own the facility. And for me to show him around, I was more than happy to. So that was my meeting of John Lee at the time. So in 1998, Friends, the American sitcom, was coming here, which I'd watched the show during its run on TV, which I believe was Channel 4 at the time. So absolutely amazing, fantastic. Friends, wow, this is going to mark the studio on the map, if nothing else. So at the time I'd been here 5 years, I'd gaffed quite a few shows. So I think at the time, the crew, the sparks that were here, all wanted to at least have the main role of gaffering some part of it. So I remember at the time, the then studio manager, Dave Wells, couldn't choose who should do it. So to be fair, we all wrote our names in a bit of paper and it was put into a hat. And you plucked our names out of that to see who would gaffer it. And I will say Matt Olsen got the honourable task of looking after the show. So it was great on him, but it was still good to work on anyway. It was double stage. The sets are where we are at the moment, ran along lengthways down the studio with the audience seating along the gallery end. I think where we are sitting now would have been the dining room of the wedding, I think. Yes, this was the dining room where they had the tables and chairs and they were eating. A lot of famous people involved in that. It's a massive cast. Obviously they came, we set up lighting-wise, which was huge for them, absolutely huge. But they were here for 2 weeks. The things I do remember from it was Matthew Perry warming up the audience. Actually did a stand-up on set, and I was perched outside lighting B, first level gantry, follow spotting him at the time, which was great, which was brilliant. So remember that situation. A few other things I do remember. One particular was, out of all the lamps we rigged, I remember rigging one lamp, which was for a 5K, where I personally believe a 1K or 2K would have done a far better job. And it was in the church scene. No, it wasn't the church scene, it was the bedroom. The bedroom where Monica and Chandler were found in bed. I think that was the first time you found out they were together. And I rigged this lamp, which I thought was, because a 5K is a pretty big lamp to be rigging on a set, weight-wise. And I remember putting half wire in there, black wrap all the way round to get it off parts of the set, and we ended up with a bit of light coming out of it about that big. It was so weighty, it was just collapsing in on itself where a smaller lamp would have done better. So that's one particular thing I remember, because I was the one who was putting all these bits of stuff on it to shrink it down and get it out off the set, and thought, oh, 2K or 1K would have done a far better job. But at the time, it was great to work on, looking back on it. I think at the time, working on it, it was long hours. It was really long hours and long days. Yeah, it was really good to work on. I think we were running behind most evenings. And they ordered pizzas for this particular night because they were running behind for the audience. I can only imagine the phone call over the to the pizza parlour, taking an order for, let's say, 600 pizzas of various descriptions for the audience to keep them happy. So, obviously, when the pizzas did turn up, there was a lot of pizza delivery gentlemen on their bikes pulling up with stacks of pizzas that night. So the place really smelt very pizzery. Yeah, they ordered pizzas for the entire crew and audience. What sets Fountain Studios apart from any other facility or other studio? When a client comes here, they have the building to themselves. There's nothing else interfering with the operation of their production. And us, as a small crew here, look after them. And I think that's what sets us apart from anywhere else. We're here to look after them. We're 110% devoted to the client. So if they need something, we're here. We're not zipping off to do other things. Obviously, if there's another show going on, it's fine, but you know exactly what each client wants. They come here because they know everything is here. And it's here. Everything is here, what they need. The space, the galleries, the technical equipment, the light, it's all here for them. They don't have to get anything else in, maybe the odd small thing, but I think this is what sets this place apart from anywhere else. That and the people that work in this building. That's what sets them apart. Because we give them their undivided attention, and we're helping from beginning to the end. I think the productions, the people that come here are going to miss this place. Whether television will miss it, I'm not sure. We'll have to see how that pans out. I think it'll be just missed because it's another space gone. That's the key part of it. Not being able to do those big shows here, or any sort of show here, that extra facility not being in London. I think that's what will be missed. We'll have to see in the future how major this building will be missed. I think the history of the building, the iconicness, will miss. Because I grew up watching programs come out from here and ended up working on some of the programs I watched as I was growing up. I think it's the history that's going to be missed. We'll have to see later on down the line how much it will be missed from TV. My memorable moments working at Fountain Studios. It's too many to mention. Every day's a memorable moment. Key ones, trying to remember good ones. Yes, being asked in one production, I'm going to keep it short, to paint the studio floor, and telling then the producer at that point that it would take 2 hours to paint the floor. And he said, well, that's not enough time. I said, well, that's how long it takes to paint and to dry before you bring anyone in. And him turning to me and saying, well, if I paint half the studio floor, will it take half the time to dry? which I'm sure is going to go down with the right line. Those are questions, yeah, the many questions you get asked, which you have to be very diplomatic in your response, which I was diplomatic. That's one of them, and another one, single stage studio, and then being asked how to make it smaller would have been another prize question. They do get asked. You may not think you may think I'm just jesting on it. No, those questions have been asked more than one occasion. Those are key memorable moments. I can never forget those. Another one, meeting my wife here, Natalie, 98. We've been friends because she was working here at the time. So that's a memorable moment. You may want to chop this one out, but I'm going to drop it in anyway. We have to paint the studio floor quite a bit. And there's times when we can't wash the floor all the time, given the shows coming in so tight to each other. So you have to repaint over it. So in an occasion where you've got a white floor and you've got to paint it white to touch it up for the next client who wants a white floor. So we'd be painting and people would paint themselves into a corner and not be able to get out. That's one moment. Or people come in, or I should say staff instead of people. So staff paint the floor and paint themselves into a corner and then realising they can't get out. That's one funny moment, because I would paint the floor as well. Or staff members coming in to the studio, where you put signs up to say it's a wet floor, and you can tell it's a wet floor because it also smells as well. You can't miss that smell. And walking into a white floor, which is white already, and you tripping over it because you can't tell where you've painted. I've done that on many occasions and covered in either black or white paint. So that's one of, which I haven't done in a while, but that's one of them. But in all fairness, there's been too many to remember. There's been so many, too many memorable moments, which is probably a good thing, because it shows you how great it's been to work here. Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed myself in this building. My opinion on the closure, the sad closure of this facility, is not great. It is sad. It's sad for me. It's sad for the crew. We've all grown up here. I will miss the building. I'll miss what I do. Definitely. I really will. Because I've enjoyed doing what I've done, basically. And I'll miss the people, because I've worked with these. We all came here I came here when I was 24. Half the guys were here, they were in their teens, late teens. We've grown up together. They're all 40, I'm over 40. We've all become a part of each other's lives. I'm going to say you do know people intimately, you do. You spend most of your life in here. And they are your family. In respect, they're part of your family. I'm going to miss them. Really am. I'll stay in touch, of course, but you won't be in here, working in here. That's what I miss. Yeah. That's my opinion. It's sad. It is sad. Because it's iconic. It's an iconic building. And as I've said already, I've watched stuff come from here. And to see that history, that's what it is. The people and the history. It's going to be sad to see it go. But you know what? I've enjoyed my time here. And I'm grateful. I have to be grateful for seeing how I was only supposed to be here for 2 weeks. I must have, I've done something right. I'm glad to have learnt what I've learnt here, and I've learnt it all here. Because when I had no idea about TV, how do you get into TV? So, yeah, from the heart, that one. That's, yeah. But I've had an up and down motion of the closure. Well, I think everyone has, but yeah, it's sad. But things move on. Is that what they say? Is it for the better? I will add that in. Yeah. Is it for the better? Who knows? Who knows? But I think everyone will miss this place. And they'll miss the people that work here.